We see ourselves as part of a world family, and we believe in the best parts of human nature. We practice respect for each other. This is evident in the room that we are sitting in today and all of the countries and cultures that are represented here, and our desire to learn more about each other and to see that over the next 2 days.
In his book, Compassionate Civilization, Robertson Work has asked two simple, direct, essential questions. The first one is, what if? What if, as we consider our future and where we're going next, our individual and our social goals, what if we were to envision a world without hunger, a world without pollution, a world even without warfare? What if that was our mental picture of where we wanted to be next, of where we wanted to seat ourselves in the future? What if that guided our actions? Second question Robertson asks is, why not? Why not commit ourselves to a compassionate civilization in how we think, how we act, how we choose, how we invest, how we vote, how we lead? For Robertson Work, these are not idle musings. He's invested his entire life in the improvement of our world, traveling to villages and slums, towns and cities in 55 countries, facilitating community organization, leadership development. He told us last night that as a 24-year-old, right? As a 24-year-old with a group of friends just like you, they kind of hatched this idea that they would travel entirely around the world in 35 days. What an idea. And then they went out and did it. But not as tourists, as researchers, as explorers, to understand and feel what this globe meant and its diverse inhabitants and how they could find their place in it. And from that experience, Robertson said, he fell indelibly in love with our world and its people, and has single-mindedly dedicated himself to its betterment ever since. He's a New York University adjunct professor for innovative leadership. For 16 years, he serves as a United Nations consultant on sustainable development. He is, as I said, an author, and his book will be available this afternoon if you would like, and an activist. Previously, he was the United Nations Development Program's principal policy advisor on decentralized government, local control, and the executive director of the Nonprofit Institute of Cultural Affairs. It is with the most profound pleasure that we introduce you to Robertson Work. Thank you.
I grew up in a town about the size of Fairfield and have done community and organizational development in many places. So I know that transformation can take root in one local community and spread around the world. I've seen it. It happens. In fact, did you know that every change that happens in the world starts somewhere, some local place, some individual, some group, some community? Everything that's happened, all the innovation, all the inventions, all the transformations happened. Somebody stood up, or a group stood up, a community stood up, and the transformation spread. What would it mean to spread what you have through Iowa, the United States, and planet Earth? So I came to this beautiful, energetic meadow once before for the graduation of my nephew Matthew Lindbergh Work at MUM's undergrad school. I forgot to ask, who is here from MUM? MUM. So I attended Matthew's graduation at undergraduate school at MUM. So Matthew and his fiancée Keisha are here today. And I'd like them to please stand up. If you please stand up. Matthew and Keisha. And this is the first time I'm meeting Keisha. Oh, welcome to the family. And my brother Duncan Work, some of you know Duncan, and his wife Lisa Lindbergh come to Fairfield often. for TM events and training, and they are TM trainers, and they're incredible. They're also in Asheville, North Carolina, with me and my wife and our 2 grandkids and my son, and we're so happy to be there. Okay, so as you probably know, imagination is a very powerful force. If you can imagine something in your mind's eye, you might be able to create it. You know, so I want you to do something, if you would please, if you wish. Because with adults, you can't tell adults really what to do. You have to invite them, I find. So I invite you to please close your eyes. It's safe, don't worry. Close your eyes. Because now you're in your mind's eye, right? Okay, what are your greatest hopes and dreams for Fairfield or your town by the year 2028? Okay, go into your mind's eye. What are your greatest hopes and dreams for Fairfield or your town by the year 2028? Okay, now please turn to one other person, could be left or right, behind, in front, and share what you saw, felt, heard in 2028, please. Let's take 3 minutes. Please turn to somebody and share. This morning, I invite you to think with each other and with me about compassionate action, the crises and opportunities that we face, the principles that can guide us, the areas of transformation where we need to put our energy, and the movement of movements, or MOM, that will help us create a compassionate Fairfield, Iowa, America, and planet Earth. I will ask you some questions. You will talk with each other. You will listen to them carefully. You might even listen to me. You don't have to. It's up to you. It's your choice, your decision. And then I will share some of my thoughts. I may ask some more questions, and then we will move on. So this will be a dialogical, interactive keynote, because we're going to be thinking together, talking together a bit, okay? Is that all right? Okay, the word compassion means, of course, calm is with. Passion means what? Suffering. Compassion, with suffering. To be with suffering. One's own suffering with another's suffering. Compassionate action is not just a feeling. It's not just feeling sorry, or it's not about pity or sadness or sorrow, or it's not primarily, it is not even simply empathy. You know, empathy, I feel your pain, it has empathy, part of it, yes, but it goes beyond empathy. Yes, compassionate action goes beyond empathy. It is decisive action that I or you or someone takes to help relieve the suffering of another living being. Could be oneself or another being. So I believe, you may or may not agree with me, it's fine, I honor your choice, your decision, your perspective. I believe that compassionate action is the key to the future of life on earth. You and I live in the most critical time in human history. Do you believe that? I do. Others times thought they were it. They were wrong. This is it. How did we get born in the most critical moment of human history? Wow. Oh my God. It's scary. It's overwhelming. But the possibilities. We face multiple interlocking crises, including climate chaos, yes. Patriarchy and misogyny, yes. Systemic poverty, plutocracy and corporatocracy, bigotry, prejudice, bias, and perpetual warfare. Whether we move toward utopia or dystopia is up to you and me and all the people around this planet. We're all in this together. Our planet is warming because of the release of carbon dioxide, methane, and other greenhouse gases from the burning of fossil fuels, the raising of animals for meat, and other human activities, resulting in the melting of ice caps and glaciers, sea rise, coastal flooding, forest fires, megastorms, social dislocation, and more. Yes, that's happening. It's already happening. Climate change isn't coming. It's here. It's been here, in my humble opinion, and I see some of you nodding. I have just come from the floods of North Carolina, as I mentioned. So women, half of humanity, have been subjugated by the male of the species for thousands of years, resulting in overly masculinized societies based on aggression and cutthroat competition. Billions of people live in poverty because of systems of colonialization, neo-colonialization, and globalized capitalism. I was told 20% of the children in Fairfield live below the poverty line. Wealthy elites and their corporations control, out of endless greed, our political and our economic systems. Bias, prejudice, and bigotry are widespread, yes, due to misunderstanding, fear, and hatred of people who are different race, ethnicity, culture, religion, sexual orientation. You know, in Japanese, the word different means wrong. If you're different, you're wrong. But that's wrong. That is so wrong. And a pervasive culture of violence justifies and maintains armed conflict between and within nations and ubiquitous violence in everyday life. These 6 crises are mutually causative and supportive and are demanding a whole system transformation if life on earth is to continue and is to thrive. So think for a moment. How are any of these 6 crises manifest here in Fairfield or in your town? Think a moment. Now turn to someone around you and share. 1 minute each. Share how are any of these 6 crises manifest in Fairfield or in your town. Let's take a minute, please. For me, and you think about yourself, there are 6 principles that provide the motivation and direction needed at this moment in history. These are sustainability, equality, justice. You've heard these before, right? Participation, tolerance, not even understanding, just tolerance, and nonviolence. Sustainability is concerned with longevity, life, healthy ecosystems. Equality is a sacred principle that every life is precious and deserves to exist and to flourish. Every life. I just read this morning, a friend from Australia sent me a text saying, from a Sufi text, saying, if the Creator gave a soul to every being, don't they deserve a loaf of bread? Justice is a fierce principle of overcoming conditions that are unfair or harmful. Participation is concerned with enabling the voice, priorities, and well-being of every person in societal dialogue and policy making and implementation. Tolerance is based on the understanding that the multitude of unique expressions of being human are each valuable and have wisdom to share with others. And nonviolence is a sacred choice to refrain from doing harm, even while holding firm to what is right and true. These 6 principles will carry us forward, can carry us forward in our noble quest for a compassionate society. Which of these principles or other principles are most important to you, your work in the world, your life? Think a moment. Your most cherished principles. These are others. Now please turn to a neighbor near you and share your most cherished principles. For me, the areas of transformation required are environmental sustainability, gender equality, socioeconomic justice, participatory governance, cultural tolerance, and peace and nonviolence. Environmental sustainability includes the cessation of extraction and burning of fossil fuels, protection of biodiversity of other species and animals and plants, protecting the health of water, air, and soil, the use of green energy, and the mitigating and adapting to climate chaos, which is already here. 7 of the SDGs that we saw are in this area. So 7 of the 17 are in this environmental sustainability area. Did you know that? So there's a big emphasis on the sustainable development is about that. Gender equality is the full participation of women and men with the voices and wisdom of women in leadership positions at all levels of society, emphasizing collaboration and caring. 1 SDG is in this area. 1, but very important. I decided to make it one of my 6. The 17 SDGs, there's 1. So you see the different emphasis. Anyway, socioeconomic justice includes provision of quality health care, education, and a livable wage and universal basic income for all people. Everyone deserves a loaf of bread. If they're alive, they can thrive and give their gift. What if Mozart what if Mozart was so poor that he never got trained as a musician? What if Einstein was so poor that he never developed his imagination? We need each individual, each individual has that genius to give. Because we're each a Mozart or an Einstein or whoever you would say. 6 SDGs are in this area. So after environment, 6 of the 17 SDGs are in this area. Participatory governance is radical direct democracy in which every person's voice, vote, and priorities are a determining force in the political process. 1 SDG is in this area. But I decided to make it one of 6 because it's so critical in my view. How we make decisions as human beings, you know? How do we talk to each other, listen to each other, make decisions, and collectively implement our decisions through political processes? Absolutely essential. That's what's blocking us from doing anything useful about climate change. We don't agree, and we don't know how to agree. We don't know how to listen to each other and agree and take action. Therefore, we're just thrashing about. Some are, others are doing incredible work. Cultural tolerance includes acceptance and appreciation of differences of religion, ethnicity, race, and culture. One SDG is in this area. And nonviolence and peace is a world in which armed conflict has lost its legitimacy, no longer legitimate, not even an option. We'll think back and say, what? You mean human beings used to kill each other because they disagreed or they wanted to take each other's land or resources? Outrageous. Remember that time in the past when people were like that? Nonviolence. So one SDG is in this area, where nonviolence has become a way of life. These 6 areas of transformation are mutually supportive in creating a compassionate community and civilization. For each of these, we need to identify and articulate the hope for a future vision, the obstacles that could block that vision, the strategic directions that will overcome those obstacles, and the actions that will carry us forward. So the technology of participation, TOP, and other planning methods, and there are many excellent planning methodologies, can be used to achieve, to do this kind of analysis and planning. So one of the programs I managed at UNDP was on decentralizing the Mdgs. You remember the Millennium Development Goals? Before the SDGs, we had the Millennium Development Goals. There are only 7. Now we have the 17 Sustainable Development Goals to the year 2030, right, as you know. So the program that I was working on worked on that. And so that's another reason why I'm so excited to be with you, that you are dedicating yourself to the vision of the SDGs, and you're going to take the action needed here in Fairfield on behalf of Iowa, the U.S., and the world. Okay, so what am I going to ask you? Think about these 6 areas of transformation. Which of these are being worked on in Fairfield or in your town? Or need to be worked on? Remember the 6. Now please turn to a neighbor around you and share. Which of these are being worked on or need to be worked on? Oh, how I'd love to hear each of your conversations. We just don't have time. We'll do that another time, okay? We'll also be able to share. You need a longer workshop to do that, of course. So, millions of people of goodwill and their organizations comprise movements that are catalyzing a better world for all. These movements include the environmental movement, yes, the democracy movement, the human rights movement, the peace movement, the social justice movement, the women's movement, the LGBTQ movement. Taken together, they comprise a massive movement of movements, or MOM. I say MOM is going to save us. The movement of movements. The environmental movement includes organizations such as 350.org. Have you heard of that one? Transition Towns and Greenpeace. The women's movement is made up of many organizations such as NOW and the Women for Justice, The social justice movement includes organizations such as labor unions. The democracy movement includes organizations such as Indivisible. You have an Indivisible group here? Yes. Our Revolution, you have Our Revolution here. Move On, Democracy Spring, yes, and others. The human rights movement includes organizations such as the ACLU. Any ACLU members? LGBTQ rights organizations and Human Rights Watch and others. And the peace movement includes many organizations that promote nonviolence and disarmament and the call to end the use of all armed conflict. People everywhere are waking up and standing up. We are on a journey of realizing a compassionate civilization, community by community, organization by organization, person by person. However, it is only ensured with what you and I do and another 7.3 billion people. It's us people folk that will decide the future of life on earth. And so what you do, what you invent, what you create, what you commit yourself to, the action you take is decisive. It will change history. But that, I believe, is a fact. So there are many innovative leadership methods that can be used, such as group facilitation, social artistry, and integral thinking. Ken Wilber's integral thinking, Gene Houston's social artistry, and the Institute of Cultural Affairs group facilitation methods, and many others. I just mentioned those that I'm familiar with and know are excellent. So again, think about this. Which of these organizations in these movements or other organizations related to these movements is working in Fairfield or in your town? Okay, please turn to somebody and share. Organizations working in your town on these issues. So to do all of this work, all of this transformation, we have to take good care of ourselves, right? You have to take good care of yourself so you are still standing. You don't become cynical or disinterested or complacent or apathetic or, So you have to take care of yourself, your motivation, your health, your mental health, physical health, emotional health, spiritual health. So how do we do that? So I'm in my 50th year of this journey. I'm older than 50, but I've been doing this kind of stuff for 50 years. So as a global local citizen, a servant leader, and I'm still passionate about this, In fact, I may be more passionate than I was when I was 24. Now that I'm 74, I think I'm more passionate. Anyway, so every day I find ways to cultivate understanding and compassion, realize happiness, celebrate gratitude, live lifelong commitment, choose courage again and again, dance with time, and embrace sadness, sickness, old age, and death. You've heard about those? Anybody dealing with sickness or old age? People tell me about old age. I don't know much about it, but. So I meditate daily. Who meditates daily? I'll see a lot of hands. This is one of the meditation capitals of the world. I get enough sleep. Last night, things were so calm in Fairfield. I slept 7 hours and 15 minutes without waking up. Oh, it was so calm. I was so calm. Anyway, eat wholesome food, spend time with family, walk in nature, exercise at the gym, read, write, speak, consult, teach, engage in social and political activisms. So, how do you take care of yourself? You got to do it. Got to do it. Critical, critical, critical. It's not selfish. It's so that you can care for others, right? Got to take care of yourself so you can care for others. So let's continue our journeys of compassionate action for the rest of our lives. I would invite you. Let's continue to build Fairfield and your town as a beautiful and just meadow of positive energy, as a cradle of consciousness, as a citadel of compassion, to show all the communities of Iowa, the United States of America, and the world what it looks like to realize peace, to achieve the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, to be a multicultural society that honors diversity, and much more. And don't forget to vote this November. How many can vote? Vote November 6th. Vote November 6th. November 6th, you must vote. Yes? Very important election. Yes. Very important election. Very, very important to our future of our country and the world. So I invite you to shock the world with sustainable development, so that if you come back together by September 2019, you'll have a lot to celebrate, right? There'll be a lot to celebrate a year from now because of the action you take. So I want to thank you for your participation and wisdom during this interactive keynote and your full and deep lives of service. So I'd like us to end this interactive keynote by taking what we've talked about and putting it into our bodies. Right, into our bodies. So please stand up. Please stand up. Okay, you've stood up for sustainable development. You've stood up for mindful activism. Now, sway, put the 17 SDGs into motion, swaying. And now dance the SDGs. Dance the SDGs. Hey, hoo, 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 hee, hee. Okay. Now take someone's hand. Take hand of people around you. We're in this together, solidarity. If you wish, you don't have to.
Yeah, I'm sick. No one wants to touch me right now.
Okay, now we raise our hands. Are we going to do it? Yeah. Are we going to do it? Yeah. Are we going to do it?